Welcome to the undocumented world. Over a decade ago, I always thought that scientists manually disassembled atomic bombs to prevent nuclear explosions, which was just a joke. But one day, my senior told me that this wasn't a joke, but a true story. The bomb that was disassembled was a twin of the ones dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In the laboratory, it nearly exploded twice, and both times, scientists managed to pull it apart. This atomic bomb core was called the Daemon core, and it killed at least two top scientists. Today, we will talk about the real story of the Daemon core. This 6-kilogram core, composed of two hemispheres, had a diameter of 8.9 centimeters. It was in a subcritical state. Once it crossed the supercritical state and reached the critical state, nuclear fission would start. Initially, it would release intense neutron radiation, accompanied by a blue glow. If the fission could not be stopped, it would release increasingly strong energy and radiation, turning the site into a Chernobyl. Nuclear contamination would spread and kill everyone in the vicinity. The core, codenamed RUFUS, was one of four atomic bomb cores. The first core, codenamed Little Boy, was detonated over Hiroshima. The second core, also codenamed Little Boy, and the third core, codenamed Fat Man, were detonated over Nagasaki. The fourth core, the Daemon core, was never made into a bomb. The classified documents show that in the worst-case scenario, the U.S. planned to detonate these four cores in Hiroshima, Nagasaki. However, Japan surrendered on August 15, and the Daemon core was returned to the desert in New Mexico. There, in a laboratory called Los Alamos, humanity harnessed the power to destroy itself. Let's go back to July 15, 1945. A mysterious bomb was being hoisted with the operation codenamed Trinity. This was a 5-meter-long bomb codenamed Gadget, containing the first core. The U.S. Air Force said it was too long to carry across the Pacific. So the laboratory director, Oppenheimer, decided to make it an experimental bomb. That afternoon, two of his key assistants were hoisting the bomb, leaving behind this photo. The man in sunglasses is Louis Slotin, and the person sitting behind him is Harry Daghlian. At 5:29 a.m. the next morning, a reed mushroom cloud rose over the white desert. The first nuclear explosion test was successful. All the scientists looked at Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, to hear what he had to say. He quoted a line from the Indian epic Bhagavad Gita, "Now one and become death, the destroyer of worlds." In the following month of August, the world witnessed Oppenheimer's words. Even the Japanese emperor, who had vowed to fight to the death, signed the surrender document. Oppenheimer left the laboratory, but his assistants continued to conduct dangerous experiments on the Daemon core. Of course, no one knew how powerful it was at the time. On August 21, before Japan had even signed the surrender document, an incident occurred with the Daemon core. That evening, the scientist Daghlian rushed back to the lab. Everyone had already left for drinks, but Daghlian, struck by inspiration, returned to the lab. The lab was empty except for a security guard at the entrance. Daghlian set up a layer of tungsten carbide bricks around the Daemon core, conducting a dangerous experiment from a subcritical to a supercritical state. The principle was simple. When the two hemispheres were combined, they entered a subcritical state, emitting neutrons. If these neutrons were reflected back into the core, it would reach the critical state, starting nuclear fission and effectively becoming a live bomb. Daghlian was using his hands to precisely control the reflectors, ensuring a small channel for the neutrons. He had done this experiment dozens of times and believed in his own skills. The security guard, oblivious, could hardly imagine the danger just a few meters away. Suddenly, Daghlian's hand slipped, and a piece of tungsten carbide fell onto the metal sphere, making a loud noise and alerting the guard. The guard looked up, unaware that the piece had blocked the neutron flow, causing the oscilloscope to spike and a blue glow to appear, indicating the start of fission. Daghlian had only seconds to stop it. He quickly pulled the piece away, and the neutrons flowed out, stopping the fission. The oscilloscope returned to normal, and Daghlian collapsed in his chair. The guard, annoyed, asked if he needed to report the accident. Daghlian, realizing the guard was still there, shouted for him to leave. Unbeknownst to the guard, he had been exposed to neutron radiation, and Daghlian, closer to the core, received a lethal dose. Hours later, a doctor took a photo of Daghlian's hand, showing severe burns and blisters. 25 days later, Daghlian died of radiation poisoning at the age of 24. The guard, unaware of the exposure, died of acute leukemia 33 years later at the age of 62. Daghlian's successor was Slotin, a more daring and reckless scientist. He often wore his signature blue jeans and boots, carrying a screwdriver as he approached the Daemon core. Slotin, a former amateur boxer and fighter pilot, was 35 years old and contemptuous of the atomic bomb. He improved Daghlian's experiment, using beryllium hemispheres to cover the Daemon core and a screwdriver to control the gap between them. If the screwdriver slipped, the neutrons would all return to the core, causing fission. Despite warnings from Enrico Fermi that he was tickling the tail of a sleeping dragon and would die within a year, Slot entrusted his hands. He performed this tickling the dragon's tail act multiple times. After the Daghlian incident, the U.S. military required that supercricketable experiments be conducted with at least 2 scientists present, with alarms installed on the oscilloscopes and enhanced security. However, they forgot to forbid direct manual manipulation. Just 9 months after Daghlian's accident, on another 21st, the blue glow appeared again. There were 8 scientists in the lab, and Slotin was carefully controlling the neutron flow with his screwdriver. As the experiment neared completion, a scientist accidentally knocked over a cup of coffee, startling everyone. Slotin's hands slipped, and the hemispheres closed, causing the blue glow to illuminate the lab. Without hesitation, Slotin pulled the hemispheres apart, stopping the fission. He knew he was doomed. He threw chalk to the others, marking their positions, and then calculated the radiation doses. After finishing, he said, "No one received a fatal dose except me." He then lit another cigarette, saying, "I'm done for." Outside the lab, Slotin began vomiting, feeling a sour taste in his mouth. In the hospital, despite blood donations, his DNA was destroyed, and his immune system collapsed. 9 days later, Slotin passed away in an oxygen tent, aged 35. His body shielded the others, saving them. 19 years later, another scientist died of acute leukemia at 42. 20 years later, another died of a heart attack at 55. 27 years later, another died of aplastic anemia. One student who was present became a lawyer and died in 2001 at 81. A historian called this the revenge of the third core. The Manhattan Project had created 3 cores, with the first detonated in the Trinity test, the second in Nagasaki, and the third in the lab. The third core was later melted down and used to create other cores. From 1945 to now, there have been 60 similar criticality accidents worldwide, resulting in 21 deaths. The most detailed and terrifying was the 1990 War incident in Japan. If you can't handle it, don't search for it. Perhaps, as Oppenheimer said, the atomic bomb is a force of death that humans cannot control. Yet there is a man, Tsutomu Yamaguchi, born in 1916, who survived both the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings. On August 6, 1945, while on a business trip in Hiroshima, he realized he forgot his stamp and went back to get it. As he left, he saw a bomber and 2 parachutes. Sensing danger, he lay down and covered his ears. A flash of latent blast wave knocked him unconscious. On August 8, he returned to Nagasaki, where his family welcomed him. On August 9 at work, he was discussing the Hiroshima bombing when another flash of light occurred, and he passed out again. When he woke up, Nagasaki was in ruins. In the hospital, his wounds wouldn't heal, and he lost his hair. But he recovered and lived until 2010, dying of stomach cancer at 93. That's the story for today. See you next video.